uh, next, we have added a new web form. This is web form 3. Okay, so what we do next is that we are going to use a query builder, okay, to configure the SQL data source. Okay, now let us go to the toolbox. Okay, so we have SQL data source. We drag this anywhere. Okay, now we configure data source. Okay, now select the connection. So we have con student. We click next. Okay, now we want to choose this option, specify a custom SQL statement or stored procedure. Okay, we click next. Okay, now you can type your own SQL statement here. Okay, so this is you have the select, update, insert, and delete. So basically, your statement for the SQL data source, you can actually choose which category of this. Okay, now for the purpose of today, we are going to use select. Okay, now there is an option for you to be able to create your SQL command or SQL statements very quickly. So this is also another feature of rapid application development. So we click this query builder. Okay, now when we click the query builder, it allows you to add some other components such as table, views, function, and synonyms. But we are concerned in for the tables. Now, if I am to select a particular table, for example, table sex and table student, let's say I choose these two. Okay, I click add. Okay, and close. Okay, now let us actually expand this so that we can see this clearly. Okay, you can see that. Okay, let us resize this. Okay, now there is this connection here, okay, between sex code and sex code. Okay, how does this happen? Because okay, when we created our table, we have defined within the table the primary keys and the foreign keys through the constraints. So if we have done that, basically this will be automatically generated for you. So if not, you need to drag and drop. Okay, you need to define this here. Okay, let's say that based on these two, what we want to do is that we want to actually create a join between these two tables to display just the students and the sex. Okay, we are not interested in the state. Okay, so let us select the columns that we are interested in. Let's say that we are interested in index number, name, email, student ID, IC number. Okay, let's say that date of birth. Okay, sex code and state code. Let's say that are we interested in this? Okay, perhaps we are interested in the sex code here. Okay, and here we are interested in just the sex. Okay, let's say that we select this and we click OK. Now this is the query builder. Okay, so this will automatically be generated for you. We click next. Okay, we can test the query. So basically, if the query does not show anything, means that there is a problem with our SQL statement. Now this is what we will see. Okay, you can see that it displays this one. Okay, sex code sex. Okay, and this is the index number. Okay, we can still change this. For example, let's say that I want to display just the rows when the sex code is male or female. Let's say I choose female F. Okay, So let's say that I go to previous, go back to the query builder. Okay, and let me expand this first. Okay, okay, now here there is a condition here. Okay, we can type in where, but if we cannot remember, let's say that the option is that we can choose. Let's say that we want to put in the condition for the sex code. Okay, this is the sex code. Okay, now we want this actually put in the filter. Now the filter is that we want the sex code to be F or female. Okay, this is uppercase F. So now when I enter, it will change into equals F. So meaning that this is the condition, the SQL statement condition, but it will automatically correct this for you. Okay, now we also want to sort this, for example, based on the name. Let's say name, we have sort order. Okay, now we have one is actually ascending. Okay, one is ascending. So we select this and let us execute the query to see whether it is okay. Okay, now based on this execute query, we can have a preview. See, you can see that this is sorted and so on. Okay, now if we are happy with this, we click OK and we click next. We can, yeah, this is actually a preview. Okay, and this is the select statement. You can see that you can create a very complex select statement, okay, using simply the query builder. Okay, so now let us click finish. Okay, now this is just the source. Okay, so if we have a look at this, the SQL data source, okay, you can see these are you can see this is the command. Okay, so if I am to enter this, the select statement is rather long. Okay, so basically if for example you can leave this like this, or you can actually put this in separate lines, okay, so that it is easier for you to actually to see this. Okay, now this is, let me unpin this. Okay, you can see this is the SQL data source. Even if you think that you want to change this, you can change this here. Okay, for example, you want to change from female to male. Okay, you can easily change this to male. Okay, meaning that you can use the wizard, or you can change directly the commands here. Okay, now let us go to the design again. Okay, now previously we have shown you how to use the grid view. Okay, now there are other controls that we can use. So we can use grid view, but let us explore using a different type of control. Okay, now let's say that I am going to choose a list view. Okay, now a list view. Now this is a list view. Let me drag and drop somewhere. Now this is a list view. Now a list view is more flexible and versatile compared to grid view. Okay, let me show you. Okay, we select the data source. Okay, now once we have done that, basically sometimes we expect to have to configure the list view, but if we do not have this, meaning that we need to refresh the schema. Okay, let's say that I'm going to refresh the schema. Okay, once we refresh the schema, we have configure list view. Okay, now because what happened is that I changed manually just now from the F to M and so on. So basically sometimes it happens. So if you don't get this configure list view, click the refresh schema first. Okay, so if you have this, fine, no need to refresh, but you can refresh anyway, no problem. Okay, now select configure list view. Okay, now here within a list view, there are several types of layouts. Okay, now this is a grid. Grid is very uh, similar to a grid view. Now this is style, this is bulleted list, this is flow, and this is single row. Okay, there is also styles, but the styles are quite limited. You can see that there is only 3. Compared to grid view, there are many styles. Okay, so these are the differences. We can also enable paging, but again, because we only have a few rows, okay, it's not enough for us to see the paging. But perhaps in later exercises, when we have more rows, we will look into this paging. Okay, now we click OK. Now this is actually, you can see this is a different layout. Okay, we can configure the list view. Okay, okay, this is tile. Okay, let's say that we choose grid. Okay, okay, once we click, we change something. Okay, it asks us to regenerate the list view. So every time we change the layout and so on, okay, it will change. We ask to regenerate and we click yes. Okay, now this is actually the grid. So if we are to run this, okay, this is actually a grid. Now the grid is without the grid actually, because we do not see the borders of the table and cell, but this is very similar to the grid view that we have just now. Okay, let us try to make this look better. Okay, now what we can do is that, okay, we can click this. Okay, now let us configure the list view. Okay, we can apply some kind of styles. This is, let's say this is professional and this is plus. So basically the choice of the formatting is actually quite limited here, but nevertheless, let's say that I choose professional, I click OK, so it asks to regenerate the list view because we are changing the styles and so on. We click yes, so it becomes like this. Okay, so this is we click run. Okay, so this is actually the list view. Okay, basically you can actually format this on your own using your own styles, but for our exercise I am not focusing on much of the styles, so this is something that I hope that you can explore. Okay, you can Google, try to look in how do you actually create your own styles for the particular list view and perhaps other views also, and how do you actually format these different tables and so on. Okay, so we have different rows and so on. So basically this is actually outside the scope of our lesson, but just to show you the possibilities of this particular controls and what ASP.NET and Visual Studio offers. Okay, let us have a look at different layouts. Okay, for example, now we can have let's say configure list view. Okay, we have tile. Okay, we have tile, select OK. So every time we change something, it asks us to regenerate the list view. We click yes. Now this is the tile. Okay, let me just run this for you. Okay, this is the tile. Okay, now let us have a look at a different layout. Configure list view. Now we have bulleted list. We click OK. Regenerate, yes. Now this is the bulleted list. Okay, this is the bulleted list. Let us look at a different layout. Okay. Okay, we click this. Configure list view. We have flow. Click regenerate, yes. Now this is flow. Okay, the flow is similar, almost similar to bulleted list. The only difference is that there's no bullet. Okay, this is the flow, and you can see that okay, it also gives the field names. Okay, let us close our browser here. And the last layout, okay, is the single row. Now this is single row. We click yes, regenerate. This is the single row just now. And if we are to run, okay, this is single row. Okay, so basically, although ListView offers different layouts and so on, it is rather limited in to allow you to manipulate the fields and so on, similar to what is allowed in a grid view. Okay, so basically I am not a fan personally of this list view. I always prefer to use grid view compared to a list view, but this is one control that you can consider to use, okay, whenever that you think that it is suitable and it serves the purpose of your application. Okay, there's no one control that is actually superior. It depends on how you apply this. Okay, now this is web form 3. So in web form 3, let us recap. What we have done is that we have created we have created the SQL Data Source 1, and we have configured the select statement using the SQL or the SQL query builder. And here we have introduced to you to another control, which is the list view.